right, welcome back to the channel. Once again, I am Hall and I do product and travel review videos. So today we are talking about my Rivian. So I just went over 1.5K miles and I want to do kind of my general feel of owning the vehicle up to this point. So had enough miles under my belt. I feel like I have some very specific, I'm going to do 5 likes, 5 dislikes, and then at the end of the video I want to talk about overall feel. If I could do it all over again, would I buy a Rivian again and wait 2 years and all the stuff I went through to get to this point? So we will get into that right after the bumper. All right, so I love getting bad news out of the way first. So let's cover the dislikes. Let's talk about the 5 dislikes about the Rivian R1T that are a bit irritating for me. All right, so number 1 for me, inside, changing the air conditioning heat fan speed and adjusting the vents, right? So I heard this on a couple other videos. Apparently with EV vehicles, like, you know, not manually adjusting using digital or electronic vent movement is like the new thing, especially with these giant screens. So let's start with the fan speed. The tiny minus and the tiny plus button when you're driving, trying to hit that button on the screen is super annoying to me. It's like trying to find this ridiculous spot on the, I just wish it was bigger. I need a larger button so that I can change the fan speed. If there's another way to change the fan speed and you're looking at me saying, Hall, you're a complete idiot, you can use this instead, please let me know. I haven't found a different way, but hitting the tiny minus and hitting the tiny plus on the bottom of the screen to change the fan speed is super irritating, especially when you're driving, because you're just, like, I'm trying to find it while I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road, and I think it could be better. I think we should, you know, make the buttons bigger so that they're easier to hit. Should be pretty easy. The other one with the air conditioning, like I said, is changing the angles of the vents. I can't get these vents to hit where I want to, you know, because you're actually like, you're hitting the screen and then you're moving the little vent symbol and it's, you know, electronically changing the vent direction. I don't know, like, I get it. You want to be super spacey. And I heard this is also a Tesla thing as well. So it must be like an EV thing. Not a fan. I would rather just move the vents manually or make it easier. I can't seem to hit spaces while I'm driving where I want the vents to hit. It takes me longer than it should. So not saying it's horrible, but it's a bit irritating. So that's changing the fan speed, whether it's hot or cold, and then changing the angle of the vents is a little frustrating. Okay, number 2 is the phone wireless charging pad. So it does a pretty good job that when you're driving around, like that pad, it obviously has some like rubber grip to it, but my phone still like moves all over the place. The good thing is most of the angles your phone will end up in, the wireless charging will stay on. It'll actually continue to wirelessly charge. That whole thing, I wish maybe there was like, I don't know, like some adjustable way you could lock your phone down a little bit more. I understand it can't really go all over the place because obviously the charging pad has sides and then it has that little pocket in the front, but I don't know, my phone ends up all over the place. And the other thing about it, it makes my phone super hot. So if I'm driving a half an hour and I have my phone sitting on there, my phone will be literally on fire by the time I get there. So I don't use the wireless charging too much. My phone's pretty charged up. I'm usually on top of that, but I actually keep my phone in that little cubby, like sitting up, because it gets so hot. So I'm not a huge fan of the Bluetooth wireless charging. I don't know if it's just me or it's just my phone. Let me know in the comments, but I have problems with the wireless charging pad inside the truck most of the time, and most of that's around my phone getting ridiculously hot. So that is number 2. Number 3, and I talked about this in a previous video, there's no lock screen for the infotainment to clean it. Actually, I've heard, I got good comments on that last video on what people were doing. So normally I just go to the owner's manual because the left side, which has like the index, is really the only touchable space. So you just go a little bit softer on that left side of the screen. And then I can clean the whole screen a little bit more rugged, anything outside of that. I did let my Rivian rep know that, and he said he sent that over to the like infotainment user group, and they're going to look at creating a button that you can lock your screen so you can clean it. So I hate having fingerprints all over that screen, and it's pretty hard not to because you're using it all the time, but not having a lock button on the screen so you can clean it, that's super annoying and super irritating for me. So to me, that should be an easy fix, and they should be able to solve that problem. So hopefully we'll get an update in the future, but I probably let them know about that, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago or something like that. So maybe it's in the works, I'm not sure. If it does come out, hurrah, we may have been a part of the solution. Number 4. The range of the Bluetooth connectivity. I don't know if anybody else has had this issue, but I will lock my truck, and if I'm parked, let's say I go to a restaurant, right, and I'm going in to grab food or something, or even if I'm going in to sit down, I have to, if I park and then like I'm within the vicinity, even through walls, my truck will unlock itself. So I'm consistently, especially if I know I could be within range, I'm consistently checking my app on my phone to make sure that the truck is still locked. So I don't know if anybody else, but the Bluetooth connectivity range for this thing is actually pretty far. Wanted to cut in here really quick. So from a Bluetooth connectivity, my truck usually within 10 to 15 yards with my phone in my pocket will unlock my truck. So just realize, you know, if you're within 10 to 15 yards and you're inside of a restaurant and you're parked maybe outside the wall, your truck may unlock with that scenario. So another piece though, you know, when you're locking and unlocking, Vader just came out. When you're unlocking and locking, you can use the app to unlock and lock really far away. I mean, I just walked it out and it was like 50, 60, 70 feet and it was still going right to my truck and unlocking and locking it. So realize the auto unlock and lock is usually within the 10 to 15 feet, but you could still use the app and it is a crazy long range that you can use. So just wanted to cut in there. And it'll go through walls and it'll unlock your vehicle even when you're inside, especially like convenience stores. If I'm running into a gas station to grab a drink or something like that, and I get close to the counter, and if I park close to the counter, it'll unlock my truck before I get outside, which normally this is great. Just in this scenario, when I want to keep my truck locked, it's not so great. So it's, you know, it's a great thing, it's a positive thing, but at the same time, it can be a little frustrating because my truck's unlocking when it shouldn't be. So if there's any workaround with any of these that you guys or Rivian owners have better ways of doing it, please let me know so I can incorporate those into my, you know, my daily drive. So that's number 4. Number 5, probably the biggest one for me, probably the biggest one for a lot of EV users, the current charging network. It's not great. Actually, I logged in because my parents live up in New Hampshire and I was gonna make a trip. So I'm in like southern Pennsylvania, and you know, it's 3 charges to get up there. Not a big deal. First 2 are superchargers, not a big deal, right along the highway. The third one, because as you get farther north, out up into a bit of the boonies, there's not as many charging stations. That last charge to make it to my parents' house is like a 2.5 hour charge, right? So it's I don't know, maybe a 16 to 20 kilowatt per hour, you know, charge. Not too great. That kind of stinks because it really adds another 2.5 hours to a trip, and ain't nobody want to do that, but that's part of owning an electric vehicle. So, you know, the charging network is going to get better and better. I think in the United States, the whole charging network, you know, there's a big push towards that. It's just something you have to deal with right now. Whether that changes in the future, not a big deal in my day-to-day because I'm always charging at my house. So if I don't have to go super far distances, but just, you know, it's an extra planning step. I knew that getting into this, so not a huge ordeal. I just hope obviously the charging network, as that grows, that should get better. Only concern for me is as more and more people buy EV vehicles, if the networks don't keep up with the demand. You know, if you're driving all that way and you know you have a 2.5 hour charge, I mentally prepare for that and I get there and there's no spots open. I mean, you know, that would even add to it more. So these are all very early days of electric vehicles in this country. Wow, that bird is loud. Very early days in the kind of the EV universe. So it is what it is. I'll deal with it and I'll plan accordingly. But the other piece of it is I did, you know, driving for 1.5K miles. I only fully charged yesterday my vehicle because I wanted it to learn how I drive, you know, because I'm a pretty grandpa driver. I don't drive like a complete idiot. So I wanted to track and see how far. I haven't done a whole lot of, you know, eco mode or two-wheel drive to get it as far, but a full charge for me is at 270 normal drive right now. So I'm thinking with the Econ, I could push 300, I'm hoping. Because originally that's kind of what I was told was, you know, 315 is something you can get out of this battery in this setup. And like I said, I drive pretty conservatively. So right now I'm topped out at 270 non-eco on the all-purpose mode. So I'm hoping eco will push me to the 300. If not, you know, is the new battery that pushes 400, is that something that, you know, it's going to be probably necessary maybe before I would have thought. I'm not really sure, but you know, 270 is all purpose. Was hoping to get a little bit more out of that, so that's a little disappointing, especially with the charging network not as up to speed as I would like. But besides that, those are my main dislikes. So let's run through them again real quick, so you know. So changing fan speed and changing the angles of the vents, just a little annoying, a little tricky. Phone wireless charging pad makes my phone super, super hot. Could just be my phone. Let me know in the comments if you're having the same problem. No lock screen to clean the infotainment. That could be being worked on. I let my Rivian rep know that, and they sent it over to the UI interface app group. And then range of the Bluetooth connectivity. It's a positive, but also can be a negative if you're at a restaurant and your truck's sitting outside and it's unlocked and you don't know. So make sure you're checking the app to make sure that your truck stayed locked, because it will unlock itself if you're within range, because that's what it's supposed to do. Just realize it does go through walls. And then the current charging network, plus, you know, the amount of miles I'm getting off of a battery based on conservative driving. I will probably do, once I make my first really long road trip, I will do an update on how far that eco mode gets me. I'm hoping I can push over that 300 range, because that would put me right around what I was getting with my Jeep Gladiator, which was around, you know, 310 to 315. So I'd be happy with that. Okay, let's switch over to the likes.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's switch into the 5 likes. So we went through the 5 dislikes. Let's talk about things that we love about this truck. So first is first. Driving this thing is insanely fun. It is a pickup truck that drives like a sports car. It is as fast as a sports car, it handles like a sports car, but you literally can do everything that a truck can do. Is there a better combination on the planet? There's not. Being able to drive a pickup truck that handles like a sports car is the greatest thing in the world. It really is. And not having to go to the pump, you know, once a week. This is why I bought this thing. I mean, the versatility alone, the handling, the car feel, it's amazing. I love it so much. So just that being able to do what the truck does, to drive it, that's one of my huge likes. It is so much fun to drive. It is a blast. So I want to make sure I cover. So handles, amazing. Versatility, I love it. And the highway. When you're driving on the highway, it drives like a very, very expensive truck. Like it drives like a really nice SUV or a car. It doesn't ride like a truck. It's not bumpy, it's super smooth, it's solid, it's tight, you know, and you can change into highway mode or all that. I mean, it drives amazing. I absolutely love it. Like number 2, interior and exterior. So the interior for me is a perfect size. It's wider than my Jeep Gladiator was, so the width-wise I don't feel as crammed. There's plenty of storage. The back seat's pretty large. And most of the things in the interior I absolutely love, from like a aesthetic, cosmetic, and a lot of the, you know, the electronics and things like that make it, I love it. I love the interior. I love how it's been staying, it's been wearing, and all the little things I've been using to store different stuff in it. I really appreciate the interior. Exterior, it doesn't get any better. I love the look of the exterior. I have gotten mostly, what is that? That thing's crazy looking. Who makes it? You know, the greatest conversation I have with hundreds of people is, who makes that? I say Rivian. They said, no, who makes it? And I say Rivian. I said, they're their own company. They're made in Illinois. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of that before. So that conversation literally happens multiple times a week. It's definitely, it's a head turning truck. It happens all the time. I have people, my camera catches people walking around my truck or looking inside of it all the time. I don't know if you're a Rivian owner and you have this same problem. I call it like it is a peeping Tom camera system, because nobody, obviously, a lot of people don't know that security cameras are on and they're recording, but they're constantly checking out the truck. I've come out of a diner and people are under my truck trying to figure out if it's electric or not. So I've had every scenario imaginable of people just very interested in what it is and what it's like. I've had 15, 20-minute conversations with complete strangers around this vehicle. I like talking to people. I like meeting new people most of the time, unless I'm in a totally grouchy mood, but I love the aesthetic look of it. I love the front end. I love the lights. It is an absolute head turner, and that's a huge plus for me. So love it for that reason. Number 3, the tonneau cover. So I had a Diamondback HG on my Jeep Gladiator, and it had like the V system. So when you popped up both the front and the end, and then the middle part stayed consistent. Worked fine. I bought it because you can put things on top of it. So when we go on vacation, because of the space issue I had in the Gladiator, I would stack a lot of stuff on top of that. So I needed the ability to put things on top. I love the versatility of the tonneau cover. I love just electronically hitting the button and it rolls up, rolls back. I can halfway it, I can quarter it. Like I end up using the bed a lot more for things that obviously come up out of the tonneau cover size. So really enjoying the versatility of the tonneau cover and the ease of it and how it kind of packs itself away. It's not like a tonneau cover where it's a hard one where you have to take it off, or you have to leave it tilted, or you have to roll it up because it's like a leather canvas. It's just super versatile, and I love the waterproofness. If you didn't watch my Is the Tonneau Cover on the Rivian Waterproof, go watch that video. I'll leave it down below, but really impressed with the tonneau cover and the ability for me to use the bed of the truck however I see fit for whatever I'm doing. So really enjoying that. Number 4, not buying gas. I've been to the gas pump maybe 3 times since I bought the truck, and that was all to fill up my zero-turn mower to mow my lawn. Not buying fuel at, I think it's $4.55 here, $4.55. I know it's come down a little bit, but to fill my Gladiator, it was, $60 to $80, and it's obviously staying that way. It was a little bit worse a while ago, but not ever buying fuel. My electricity really hasn't altered that much with charging my truck at home. So it's a huge win economy-wise to my pocket. Keeping money in my wallet and not having to buy fuel is really exceptional in this time period. Don't know if the fuel prices are going to stay this way. Even if they don't, usually they stay higher than what they were when they started coming up. That's notorious in gas price history. So don't know what that looks like, but really a fan of not buying fuel. So it's one of the main reasons I wanted to buy an EV, not only from the environmental standpoint, but also from the just not having to rely on fuel all the time. And I'm a huge fan of that. Huge fan of it right now because it's more expensive than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. So it's a big win. And the 5th reason I love or like the Rivian R1T is the customer service. And I've had the customer service. I've talked to Tyler, my personal Rivian rep, a ton, just asking questions, letting him know about the new lock screen. They've been completely open to suggestions and things to improve. And Tyler, even when he goes on vacation, sends me an email or sends me a voicemail and says, hey, heading on vacation. This is the person you want to contact if you have any issues or any problems. So very customer focused company. Really appreciate that. Love having a rep that I always can talk to and I know pretty intimately. Obviously have had multiple conversations before my delivery, and now even multiple conversations after it's been delivered to ask questions, updates, when my spare tire's coming, blah, 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 blah. So, I had to wait on my crossbars, had to wait on my floor mats, had to wait on my spare tire, and all that stuff was very clear, very concise, letting me know updates of when things are coming. So huge fan of the customer service. I've had technicians actually come out. They installed my spare tire in my bed of my truck, and they were phenomenal. So no issues there. I just unlocked the truck. The first time they came to my house, and the second time I had them out, they actually came to my work. So great experience. They were super nice guys, no issues there. And then they send you, once they're done, they send you like an email that has like your tech ticket. Obviously it was no charge because it was already in my original purchase with the spare tires. So it was awesome. So customer service, and everybody I've talked to at Rivian, I've asked them why they're working for the company. And from a culture perspective, like it doesn't seem like a whole lot of BS. So the culture seems very strong. Seems like what they're trying to do in the world of EV, everyone's pushing towards that same objective, which is pretty difficult concept and culture to nail down, especially in a startup, especially in something new, especially with all the supply chain issues everyone's having in their world, especially with vehicles. Huge fan of the customer service and just the company in general. So those are my 5 likes. Let's run through those again, just like I did the dislikes. I have drive-in handling, amazing. One of my favorite things is driving this truck. Interior and exterior, love both. Outside gets a ton of looks, gets a ton of head turns, huge fan of that. Tonneau cover, versatility, it's amazing. Not buying gas, huge like right now, especially in today's market. And customer service and the support from Rivian as a company has been some of the best people to work with, especially on such a huge purchase. Something that you have, it's newer, it's trying to figure all the things out and all the things that are different about it. They've been in a huge support. So I think that's everything. If you have any comments or you have any things that I had dislikes or likes for that you've found different solutions for, please let me know in the comments. I'm looking to learn everything about this vehicle because, yeah, I have, those 5 different things. So overall, to answer the initial question, if I could go back, whatever, 10 weeks ago or whatever it was, would I end up waiting 2 years for this truck? Am I disappointed with it? No, I'm not. Every time I stop and talk to someone, they tell me, or they ask me like what it is, and then they ask me, or they say, are you still loving your truck? To me, it is still one of the greatest things I've ever bought in my entire life. It is only the second new vehicle I have ever bought in my entire life. The first one was my Gladiator. So I absolutely love the truck. I would go back again. Obviously, the range and the charging network is something that's going to evolve, so I'm giving it time. I know what I got myself into, even though it's a pretty strong dislike for me right now. I can work around it, and I knew what space I was getting into. So I was willing to give up some ease and some comfort to go on this ride of what the electric vehicle network and all of that's going to be new. I'm here for it, and I'm patient. I was patient for 2 years to get the vehicle, so I can be patient a little bit longer to see how all this shakes out with the network. But I'll just take a little bit longer on my trips, so it's not a huge ordeal to me. So that is all I have. Once again, if you have any comments or any questions, leave them in the comments below. I answer every single comment or question. I think that's it. So that's another video, and Rivian R1T, yes, I would buy it again. And I would wait 2 years for a pre-order because they're amazing. And it's, like I said, one of the greatest things I ever bought. All right, we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.